Hey friends, Christine here with a quick little kit tips tutorial for actually for two kits for the treasure box books, which is what you're seeing here. This is a new kit that I just designed that has a map of the United States that goes along all the spines so that you can use it as a travel journal and go region by region. That was the intention anyway, or you could just use one if you don't need the whole state, the whole nation. And then inside I had designed these little new notebooks for all the states. So you can see Maine, Vermont, who else have I printed out? Washington, Michigan. Oops, there are 5 different designs, and each state has the great state of, their state name, their motto. This is actually, I wanted to put an address in here, so I put the address of the public library in every capital. I just had to pick something. So everything else is sort of fictitious, and it was a lot of fun to come up with little names. So that's what we're doing. We're going to do how to make the book box and how to do 2 versions of the notebook, a sewn version and a no-sew version. So it's fun, easy. Let's get to work. All right, so I have my elements printed out, which are the book box itself. You get 2 versions, this version or a wallpaper version. So for this one, I'm going to use the map version. And rather than using this wallpaper version, I'm going to use this because I have it printed out and I wanted to see how it looks anyway. So I'm going to use that. And then the cover for the book I'm going to make, and some chipboard. Now I have made these books mostly with cereal boxes glued together, 3 layers, and then trimmed to size. So know that you can do that. And I'm going to use chipboard here because I don't have enough Cheez-It boxes. So I need to trim this down to be 2 covers and a spine. And the covers are going to be 4 3/8 by 6.5. And the spine is going to be about 3/4. If it was a tad over, you'd be okay, but about 3/4 of an inch by 6.5. So let me go trim that now. All right, so something that just happened that I thought I should share with you because it could happen to you. I, off camera, because I didn't think to put the camera on, took my cover and transferred these fold lines to the back, and I just held it up against a window and did that. So when I did that, I realized, as I got back to my table here, when I went to put my spine in place to get sort of a test fit, it was too tall. It should fit in between these lines. Well, I realized what had happened was in my print dialog box, I had it set to print to fit, which meant that the software sort of reduced the artwork. So it's something to keep in mind, that you want to make sure that you're printing actual size and that you select that setting in your printer dialog box. So back to what we're doing. I've trimmed my chipboard, again, could be cereal boxes, and I am going to glue them in place. So I always start with the spine. And you can see that is much better. It fits in between my lines. So we give that a second or two to grab. And then we do the same with our boards. And you want a good amount of glue, but you don't have to overdo it. And sometimes it's helpful to sort of smear it out. I don't always do this, but I'm doing it now. All right. So we put one here. You want to mind the gutter, the hinge area. Put that in, and now we do the back. And I'll just give this some smear. and put that in place, aligning it with our guides. Okay, beautiful. So now, get some of the glue off my hands. Pick this up and give it a little love. It all still looks good. Everything seems to be in place. Now we're going to trim these corners. We're just going to miter them across, leaving a little bit there to get tucked under to finish off the corner. Yeah, so I don't know which one of these is not straight. It looks like the cover's not as straight as it could be, so I was just doing a little adjustment there. That's better. Doesn't need to be perfect. It still comes out great. So let's finish mitering. There we go. So now I always do, just a habit, I've made enough of these, the tops and bottoms first. And I always give it a good bead of glue right along the edge. And now we're going to lift this up and fold and press, and then grab it. And of course I used more glue than necessary. It's the Sparkboard way. My head is always in the way and I use too much glue. Okay, so that should be good on that side. And now let's do this side. And look, I'm going to use less glue. Fold it up, press against the edge, give it a nice crisp edge. And press. All right, so now we do want to give the hinge area some attention and fold it and make sure that our pages are sticking, that our paste downs are sticking. And they are on this side and on this side. So down here by the hinge area they are fine. So then we just continue pressing more glue. We'll score it out in all likelihood. All right, so again, just making sure that the book will close. We're good. All right, so now we want to press down our corners, and that'll make for a nice clean corner when we fold over the sides. And then same thing, a little glue along the edge and a little bit more. Fold it up, give it a pull, and press. Too much glue there, by a lot. Not sure why it's not sticking. It's not for an abundance of glue. Okay, there we go. And now this side. Pull and press. It's weird that it's not sticking with the first go. Okay, there's our cover. Want to make sure that it's all nice and attached to the boards. Okay, there we go. There's cover number 1. All right, so now we need to finish the inside. And to do that, we first want to cover the inside. Now I see this here. I always bash down the corners a little bit, just to give them a softer edge, protect the corners somewhat, and to give them a little more age. And I also do it here and here. Okay, so now we have this sheet and we want to trim it. Again, yours might look like this. I'm going to trim this because you can use any paper. And it's going to be 9.5 by 6 3/8. Let me just double check that. 6 1/4 by 9.5, and that should fill our space nicely. All right, we'll do a little test here. That's looking good. Now you could ink these edges if you wanted to. That's entirely up to you. So now, come around the edges and then all through. All right, now let's put this baby in place. And as we're putting it in place, we want to be mindful that it's centered, more or less. Like so. And we want to make sure that we can fold it without it puckering. So that's the trickiest part of the whole process, is to encourage it to not pucker as it folds. So nicely, there is a lot of leeway with this paper, with this glue rather. So just gonna keep just kind of babysitting it a little bit. Doesn't need much, but enough to help it stick where you want. That looks good. Oh, see, I did get some pucker, so now we're just going to play with this for a second. And it really doesn't take much, it's just coaxing it back down, making sure that our spine is covered. And using our bone folder to get it in place. It usually goes pretty easily. That looks good. And that looks good. So like I said, sometimes some covers go down, no problem. Others take a little bit of attention, and like this one did. But then we just continue to give it love. There we go. Perfect. Well, okay. Close to perfect. Now it's perfect. Okay. So here's our outside cover, and now we're going to make the box. All right, so let's just double check our cover is good, and it is. Let's take a look at this. So when doing the box, I printed this on 65-pound cardstock, and I hope I had it set right for printing at actual size and not some reduced to fit size. We're gonna hope that I did and go on. So for this, what we wanna do is we wanna score in all the areas where there's a transition. So here, 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 here. You get the idea. And we wanna score because that'll give us good crisp folds that will line up well with our cover. So anywhere where the design changes. And here, in this area, go all along the whole part here. Going over these flaps as well, because this will remove, but this we will fold over. All right, so that is all those vertical lines, and now these two horizontals, and then we're going to trim to the artwork. All right, so now we're just going to trim all the white stuff off. And here, we can leave this, it doesn't matter, it's going to get folded over, and it works as sort of a reinforcement for that corner, or for that side. So here we are going to take off this. So from here to here, and we should do it a little more neatly, but I'll fix that after I trim. And here, and here. So I can see already I'm a little tight there, but that's all good, it's all fine. Now we're going to take this off. I just broke this knife point. All right, and then here, we can leave that too, it's just reinforcement, but we'll trim to this. This line, and then you could just come out here, doesn't need to follow that line exactly. You don't need to be too crazy, that we can leave. We do want to trim off this white part here. If you have any white edge showing in this area, you want to trim it, because that's going to be where your book pages are, or the appearance of book pages. You don't want a white edge. So here, we want to keep this flap, but we're going to trim to each side. And then we're going to miter them a little, these flaps. Just going to pull it in just a little. And that's going to help us not have too much ganging up in the corner there. So we just pull that out. And the same for that side. Oop. Come on. Okay, so you can see now there's a little bit of a miter there. All right, so first let's fold here, and we're going to fold this down and glue it. And again, this is simply reinforcement for the edge that's going to take the brunt of you stuffing things in and out. Okay, now we're going to do the same with these flaps here. Just fold them in. Okay, so let's let that sit for a second. This glue is not sticking at first go, as I'm used to with Fabric Family glues. But let's let that sit for a second. Okay, so now we are going to fold on all of our other folds, all of our other scores, and get everything kind of primed, all the folds. We're going to go this way, so that it's like that, and then the same here. Okay, and if you want to, like in most of my versions, I put a little thumb notch here. This would be the time to do it. It would be the easiest time to do it. So let's say this is going to be the center-ish of it. It's going to be about here. So I'm going to put it about there. I'm just winging it. There we go. All right. So of course, any inking that you want doing should be done now. Okay, so now all we do is glue our little keep tabs to the shortest end of our pages. And I always do it on the inside, on the word keep itself, but you could do it on the outside. It's going to get covered up. So I do it on the inside, just a habit. Probably someday should just break that habit just for the fun of doing that. So now we are just beginning to construct the box itself. And you want to make sure that it's flat. So if it helps you, you could clamp. You know, we could take a little clamp here and let it sit like that while it dries. It usually does dry pretty fast. It's usually not a problem. All right, so once it's mainly dry, we can take our bone folder and give it more love and attention. I'm just pressing on it, making sure that it's in place. And it is. And now we are going to fold our outer side, and that's how we get the box. So now these outer edges, I'm going to do the same thing. Just up to here, not on the side, the end that's printed. Just up to the box. Alright, there's one. Now what I normally do is stick it then on a surface and use the bone folder or any long object to press it down on the inside. Oh, hey, come back. Behave yourself. Alright, so there we go. All looks good. I am noticing I have a little bit of, there we go. I fixed it. It just wasn't lined up correctly. All right, so there's the box. Now we just put the box in the book. And this will get glued into here, like so. And then it will look like a book. And we're done. So let me do that. Making sure it's going right side up, and in it goes. And I find usually lining it up with the end paper is a good spot for it. There it is, all done. Now of course you could print on colored paper. You could print on the other side of this. It doesn't have to be white. That's up to you. And then it's just letting it find its way. And there we go. It's that easy. Then, of course, we want to fill it with things like our little notebooks that we made. Goes right in here, goes right in here, and then along with all the others that make the rest of the image on the spine, which I just did because I could. I thought, what a cute idea. We can make a whole region, so then when you're traveling, you can put your different books for each region into its own. Now here you can see it says 1A. Well, that was because I messed up the numbering, and it does actually is numerically correct in the finished kit. But this is what we're doing, and it goes on and on and on until it finishes all the way. And then the whole map is there. This is hard to hold. Let's see what we're up to here. 7, 8. Number 9 seems to be missing. And number 10. Let me go see if I can find number 9. Here's number 9. So there, now you get the idea of having all the states line up across. Okay, I'm going to line this up because you all know how I am. It will make me crazy. There we go. Go create, be more awesome. Ah! And straight. Thanks, guys. See you next time.